And welcome to Modern Toy Fair. Today we're going to ask the question, are you okay? I am your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I am joined by the founder of the NECA Illuminati, the delayer of shipments, the procrastinator of pre-orders, my YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jarmar_Games. But that's not all. I'm also joined by the man Modern Toy Fair has full custody over, the man off to his prime pop that he refuses to stop, the Twilight Knight, the master of Mac, the three-pump chump of taking this show off the rails, Nate.
What's up?
How you guys doing tonight?
I'm really
okay.
good.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So yeah, this is one that I've been wanting to do for a little while, and that is the kind of parallels and connection between collecting and mental health. Because mental health has become a bigger topic nowadays in society more than it used to be. It was kind of like you just, suffer in your silence, weirdo. But now it's becoming a little more discussed. And I feel like collectors, we're filling that big hole in our heart with plastic, right? Just me? Cool.
I thought you were gonna,
episode's
I thought
over.
you were gonna say collectors are people too.
Collectors are people too. I don't know some of them. We'll discuss that on weekly on OnlyFigs though.
Oh.
But yeah, so
we already did last week.
This is true. Yeah, on a week and a half ago. Yeah. So go back and watch that episode if you haven't, or if you don't tune in live or haven't already. But yeah, so I mean, realistically, there's a lot of people out there who this is their escape. Collecting, toy hunting, taking pictures, what have you. It's a way to escape from all the stressors of their day-to-day life, any personal problems they're dealing with, any actual mental illnesses they're dealing with. And I feel like that's got to be a pretty common thing amongst collectors, because collecting is borderline just a better habit that can become an addiction. So it can probably draws a lot of us in through that. And the way Nate's looking at me, I'm assuming I'm the only one. And Jarmar has already expressed before the show he's perfect. So
no, I'm agreeing with you. I think that there's a lot of things that go into this when it comes to mental health, and there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad that comes along with it too. So I definitely agree.
Yeah, so
but Jarmar is perfect.
Yeah, Jarmar's perfect. He doesn't have any personal problems. He's not running from anything.
Whoa.
He just collects just simply because he thinks the turtles are pretty. That's it. Sorry. If you thought Jarmar had flaws, joke's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, just to clarify, that is kind of why so it's just an attachment to childhood. Isn't that what nostalgia is, right?
I mean, if you ask a therapist, probably not. There's probably something deeper there.
Oh, well, I don't know yet if there's anything that deep below the surface, but I feel like most of it is just like the attachment to not wanting. That sounds really that sounds dark. But not wanting to get old is really what it is. But enjoying my youth, or not even my youth, but just my childhood of reliving 90s cartoons or having the figures that I had when I was a kid. It's more of a connection to my childhood than a escapism or something like that. For me personally, that's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, I don't do any hardcore drugs, so this is a replacement for addiction. But addiction is a strong word, so I don't know. It's hard to say that with 1,000 toys surrounding me.
So let me ask you this then: if tomorrow the wife was like, "You're done," could you get rid of it all and just call it quits? Cold turkey.
So, I mean, that adds another layer to it, because outside of the connection to my childhood, now having a child, I think it is also kind of an excitement and connection to my childhood, to my child as well. So could I just completely give up collecting toys? Possibly. But I still would be doing other things like video games, comic books, shit like that. So it's always going to have
you don't collect physical comic books.
Well, I didn't say collect. I mean, I don't collect
I know,
physical
but just,
video games either. I
but
just
I'm
mean
just
like
saying,
playing
like,
and reading and like sharing that with like,
Actually using them for what they're for, Chuck.
yeah, like I don't.
it felt like a personal attack.
I'm
It
not saying,
is.
hey, if the hat fits, then wear it. But
I mean, it doesn't anymore. I've gotten rid of like 99% of my comics. I'm down to just a few like special ones that I'm keeping, like my
listen,
signed
hey,
and stuff.
even if you're a slabber and that's what you do, that's fine. That's what you do. But I'm with Jarmar. I tend to use my shit.
I mean, I like the idea and the concept of it, but it's a matter of finding the time.
Yeah,
Especially when you're a DC fan and they were
nother...
dropping 2 books a month for every title. Like,
that's pretty much why I stick to Image and the random. But yeah, that's not toy collection, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so it's not like I don't think I'm escaping from anything. If anything, I think that's why I probably play like video games, because that's a little bit more of an escape, because I can get in, completely away in something like that. But for me, it's like collecting things because I can't wait for my kid to be interested in the things that I have. So that's probably like a deep seated issue right there. But I think most parents would probably want their kid to like things that they like, so that's kind of normal. But yeah, I'm more curious about like who hurt you, Michael. Like,
that's
like,
that's a level of dark. That's a level of dark we don't want to go down. But
do you collect figures?
But no,
I
openly, I'll openly like discuss it. I suffer from anxiety and depression. Like, I have since I was very, very little, and it's always been somewhat of an escape, because like, as a kid, while I technically have siblings, they were never really around, so I grew up as pretty much an only child. I had a stepsister, but she'd be over every other weekend. My piece of shit father had a few kids with other women who I saw for a couple years and then they'd disappear. So I pretty much didn't have siblings. So it was just me playing with my toys. And it was kind of like I'd create these worlds and stories, and it was kind of also a creative outlet, which then led to me like drawing and writing and stuff as well. And it also then, once I got older, I also got into video games for a while, and that kind of took over more so just because, when you're in high school and stuff like that, it's not cool to be the kid who collects toys, so it turned into video games, which then turned into collector's editions. And it wasn't until like the college years when I went back to collecting action figures again. And it's still, to this day, it's a way for me to, decompress and escape from the stressors of everyday life. I come home from, my job. I mean, granted, at this point, it kind of has also become a second job because of the channel. And ironically, the first job too is also very toy centric. But like, I'm able to, take now it went from me playing and creating stories to now I create stories through the photos that I take for like the reviews, and there's photos I'll take that never even make it to social media or anything. They'll be just ones that I'm screwing around, playing with things, trying to test new lighting and stuff like that. So it's kind of grown with me throughout the years, but it's definitely, it's one of those things where it also gives you something to look forward to. It's become a potential career path for me as well, which has also helped mental health wise, because I've worked retail for 90% of my jobs, and that's very taxing, and especially once you get into the management level. And I especially noticed that my last like retail management job, that it really took a toll on me, and that's when I kind of decided that I needed something else. And this kind of just, all the stars aligned for this channel to become a thing during the pandemic, because we'll discuss like the full story, but me and Jarmar talked about it, and that's how like my Twitter news and stuff came to be. And now obviously we're trying to make this more than just a hobby. Like, we've got the Patreon going. My TeePublic store has been completely converted over to just Modern Toy Fair. I'm working a lot harder to try to advance things on the channel and grow it more, versus like when we first started, it was more just kind of a figuring it out stage and then just kind of like a hobby stage because I had to take a back burner once things calmed down with the pandemic. But yeah, I'll 100% like admit like toys are an escape. Like you go hunting to try to find that new thing to get the quick little dose of serotonin and be like, yeah, and then you move on to the next thing. So like 100% it is.
How about you, Nate?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Why is Nate was it Ron Swanson, and he's just like doesn't want to share his feelings over in the corner?
No, I mean, I could go through a whole thing, but it would be very much similar to both of yours.
That's fine.
You know, dealing with things in my past and you know, latching on to toys and staying with it through years when you probably shouldn't have, and then when you finally do take a break, and then trying to get your kid into things that are similar. Which, Jarmar, I'll give you just a little piece of advice. You push so far, and then you let them find their own thing, and then sometimes they bring back to you, which that's like the coolest thing. When you know, when they're growing up and like you lead them towards cool stuff, and then they're old enough to lead back cool stuff to you. So that's really, really cool. So that's fun to look forward to. But yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, this has definitely helped me in times. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of things we can talk about as far as, you know, specific things do different things for your different mental capacities, things like that. But just overall, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun hobby. It's the thing that's really great about it is you can focus down, or you can go really broad, or you can collect modern, or you can collect vintage, you can collect characters, you know, just specific characters and stuff like that. There's all kinds of ways to make it fun for you. You know, and you just got to be careful, because then you can let things overwhelm you, and then it becomes not as fun, and then that's when it really starts to take a toll on you, which I'm sure we'll get into here in a little bit. But yeah,
I'm glad you brought up that last part, because that is something I wanted to talk about, is kind of the negative side of collecting, the part that can kind of take that toll on you and have the reverse effect of what it should be doing. And some of that can be caused by just, you know, like pre-pandemic and going in early pandemic. We had hit a point in collecting where the demand was significantly higher than the supply. And like the Turtles line with NECA. I remember me and Jarmar both do, for at least 3 years, maybe more straight, it was always a stressful, terrible time when there'd be a new drop, because there was not very clear indications of when things would hit. If there were, they'd end up being wrong, and they'd hit sooner or sooner or later. Not all stores got the same quantities. If some stores didn't get any at all, it was also so popular that then it became a huge item for people to want to try to scalp on eBay. So then you had to fight off other collectors, plus then people trying to buy them to make a profit. And it really sucked the wind out of the sails of the hobby for a lot of people, including, like, hell, that's why I've calmed down a lot on NECA Turtles. I'm doing the comic book stuff and a few things here and there, but that's it. I got rid of the movie Turtles. I got rid of all the the toon stuff. And it partially was because
I'm sorry, but Jarmar like let out like an audible like there was a great disturbance in the force when you said that. Anybody that's watching, if you didn't hear it, run it back, because he's just like.
Well, it really was. It was because it wasn't fun anymore. It became
right.
It became a job. It became, I have to devote so much time just to making sure I secure this. And yeah, they did improve over time. They started doing the open pre-orders, more started hitting stores, but at that point they had worked through all of the main characters and the important stuff that people wanted, and it started calming down and going into the deep dives, which I had no interest in. So it just kind of really wasn't fun compared to other lines I had, and it made it like not fun to collect it. So that's why I like the comic book stuff, because the comic book stuff isn't hard to get. It's fan channel essentially. Anywhere that even Target, oddly enough, has it, even though they weren't originally supposed to. So I'm like all for it. Even Walmart technically has exclusives, which is with the Auto T stuff. So the comic book stuff is everywhere. It's not like limited. It's not hard to get. It's also a little more niche because it doesn't have as big of a fan base as the movie and the Toon Line do. So it's a lot more relaxed. I still have some stuff that's a little stressful. Getting the Indiana Jones was a little stressful because they pretty much sold out at Targets everywhere.
And then though, I walk into Sir Troy's the other day, and there's a giant end cap, just chock full of every single one. And really, I think they were like maybe like $1 or $2 more than other retail places.
No, they weren't. They're $5 more.
All right, either way, but still,
it's cheaper than eBay.
I mean, but I wouldn't have got it then. I would have waited for my Big Bad Toy Store pre-order to come in.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
We know you get a discount.
Yeah, not enough to bring it down. I'd still be paying over retail for it with my discount.
Well, tune into last week's OnlyFigs where I talk about how much I overpaid for stuff. But you got to do what you got to do.
I think Target's going to get restocks, but either way, that's not the point of this episode.
I just wanted to say, because you mentioned like the negativity side of it, and that is like, I'm sure those videos are still obviously on the channel.
Oh yeah, you can go back and watch the news for the Turtle Watch 2020
defeated
in 2021.
Oh man,
it was
yeah, the Turtle Watch 2020 was, and like you said, 2021 was like a dark time. Part of it though is something that Nate has kind of like stressed to us, and I think a lot of collectors do the same thing. And I still use video games is because of the crossover, because it's very close and similar. Is you have like the same situation, is that you want to be a part of like that zeitgeist of when something comes out or when something releases. So like that excitement and that hype, sometimes you get burned. And collecting wise, you're like, all right, I'm going to spend more in retail, blah, 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 whatever it may be. And then that opportunity comes later for you to get it. So you kind of like almost did it to yourself, in a sense of like getting upset and frustrated.
Sometimes, yes, I will agree.
Sure. But in a lot of those cases, though, of Turtle Watch and Turtle Watch 2021, 22, those were a lot of moments where stressed out, especially like 4-pack specifically, where I didn't think I was going to get it, stressed out, pissed off, mad, angry, upset, all of the above. And then like when you lose all hope, you end up getting it. And like, I don't know if that's just a part of the process to go through. And that's why for me, it's hard
stages of grief of collecting.
Yeah. Though, like seriously though, that's why to me, it's hard to look at as like an escapism. It's just a part of like, I enjoy the ride. I won't say love. Love's probably a strong word.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy the ride of, yeah. Like I enjoy that moment of like not being able to find something you finally find and stuff like that. The hunt is fun. This gives me actually a great example. I was out at the store yesterday and I was just in the dinosaur aisle because that's what my life is now. When we go to Target, which I enjoy, I love it. But on the dinosaur aisle, then at the end, there's like the wrestling stuff. And we're just in the aisle and this kid just walks up, and I say kid, I'm old. So he was probably like 18, 19, something like that. But he goes, no way. Oh my God, what the fuck? Like, he didn't say what the fuck. He was like, what? He's just freaking out. And he was like, I didn't even come in here for this. And it was like some WWE Elite, Andre the Giant or something that like, it was just one on the shelf. And he was like, I can't believe this is here. Like, oh my God. Like, and he was so excited. And then it like, my wife looked at me and was like, that's so cute. And then she's like, I know that's like, you were so happy, excited to see like what he got. And it is true. It's just that like that feeling is such a great feeling that like, even though you have those negative moments, I think it's worth going through because you can get that payoff. With NECA, that's not always the case. Yeah. I still haven't seen a lot of the holothon stuff.
Yeah, NECA is the one exception to that rule, I feel like. Right. Like they corrected course for a while, and then it seems to be going back the old ways. But no, a lot of stuff, yes, you'll find it eventually. Like the Indiana Jones stuff. I was freaking out. I went to several Targets, not several, like 3 or 4. And I was like, this is going to suck because everywhere I went, they either had none of them or they only had the side characters. And then I heard that, they're only getting 1 indie per case, which is just asinine to me. And Indiana Jones is my favorite.
2 still seems kind of low.
It is too. It's stupid. It's 2 indies, 2 Marions, 2 Salas, 1 Tot, 1 Belloc. It should be 4 indies, 1 the rest.
Well, when the Target I went to when I finally found him, the rack was full, and it was 1 indie, so that's why I assumed those rumors were true. Even then, either way, 2 indies is not enough.
It's not enough. It should have been 4.
Yeah, if they come in a case 8, 2 is not enough. But then I was just like, well, no matter what, I have my Big Bad Toy Store pre-order, and I know every time I buy something that I have pre-ordered through them, less than a week later, I get an email saying, hey, we're about to take your money. You better cancel this real quick because you just bought that. Or I will miss it, and then suddenly I'll be missing a bunch of money from my account. And I'll be like, what the hell? And I'll be like, great, now I have 2 of these. But like, yeah, they're nowadays it's not quite as bad, but like you said, with NECA, it still lingers sometimes where there's some things that you still can't find. Like I briefly wanted the I think you call him Man Ray, but Ray Fillet from the Comic Con, because I was like, this looks really cool. I still have never seen one. I've seen everything from Holothon except for the accessory pack and Ray Fillet. Everything else I've seen.
I saw Ray one time.
I think
I'm trying to think, because I have seen everything else.
I think I may have seen Rex
the very
once.
First day.
Yeah,
the very first day I saw it.
I didn't pull the trigger because it's $60, right?
Was that how much it is?
I think it's big. Like 60.
Oh yeah, for the RoboCop
like
guy. I was trying to figure out who the Rex was. Yeah, I think he's 60.
Because the bigger Ultimates were like 50.
Yeah, because
and it was just like,
Triceraton was 50. The Mutant Shredders I think are 50. Ray Fillet I think is 40 or 50. And the rest were around 35, 40.
Just to like shift this probably more so towards Nate, just because of, well, I mean, you collect everything, but like the thing that we both kind of maybe miss out on, I know me personally, is like retro collecting, just because I'm pretty much like the only things that I'm going to possibly find are like not
like grail
going to find them. Yeah. So like, I don't have that like retro collecting anymore. And like, I kind of do like get a bit jealous of you having like with your vintage series, but I mean, I imagine that sucks as well, although it has some issues, but that's like to me the biggest part I feel like I miss.
Yeah, the fun thing, like it's weird right now because I started this line late and I was still able to accumulate most of them. I had to sell a lot of things to get some of them because some of them are really pricey, but it was a lot of fun. The one thing I'll tell you, and I needed something new in Star Wars because Black Series just wasn't cutting it, and I love things that are numbered. And that, on one hand, drives me crazy, but yet also I love it at the same time. Like, if you put numbers on your shit, I have to have them all, and they have to go in the proper order. Like, and you can't even see the numbers. The numbers are on the back.
I know, it drives me crazy because I just want to put them in like with each other with the right movies and stuff.
Right, and yeah. So, in these actually numbered going down all the way across, but yeah, and you know, I do have a little bit of vintage as well, which is fun. But I don't avidly collect vintage. I mean, vintage collection, but that's different.
Yeah.
I don't avidly collect vintage anymore, just because one, I'm comfortable with what I have, but that option is always available to me, which is cool. So,
yeah. I guess you already have like, I'm thinking of over the past years of what you've purchased, but like Motu, it's like almost you got like, I'm assuming most of everything you can get. Like,
I mean, I don't have everything, but I'm comfortable with where I'm at, and that's been weird too. Like, speaking of like the 5 stages of grief and things like that. Like, you know, coming to like a collection's end is a weird thing.
Yeah,
and it's, I don't think we talk about that as much, and I see it a lot. As much as we don't want to talk about it, the minute we complete something, it's done.
You don't want it anymore.
It's done. Yeah. the chances of getting rid of it or selling it off or something like that becomes exponentially higher because that thrill is no longer there, that hunt is no longer there. And like you talked about in previous episodes, if you put it away, you don't really like to do that, and then that kind of almost then makes it acceptable to not have it anymore. So that's always a weird one, and that's that's why maybe some collections like Masters of the Universe Classic, for instance, I don't have everything, and I'm comfortable with where I'm at. But if I'm not finished,
just leave
technically
the door
there's
open.
pieces I'm still missing.
It's enough that you can still enjoy it because you haven't finished it, but you aren't actively trying to finish it.
Exactly, and that's a cool thing too. Like, just because I go to a lot of toy shows. Like that's probably one of my favorite things about the hobby in itself. Probably the thing that makes me the happiest is going on trips and going to shows and getting to know people within the community, cool ones. But I'm not.
Is that a shot at us? Are we not
no,
cool? Is that what he's saying?
I mean, we are on the internet. I'm just making a blanket statement.
Are you saying because me and you got recognized at a show? That's why you like going now? Is because people were like, I saw your face on a thumbnail.
I've always liked going because that is my favorite thing. Because I think it comes from like going to flea markets as a kid. Because I was buying toys at flea markets back when nobody gave a shit about G.I. Joe or Star Wars. I was buying shit up. Because you never know what you're going to find. There's the anticipation of it, especially when you go in not really having an agenda.
Yeah.
Like you might have like a couple of things that you're necessarily looking for, but
when you're
I just like to go and look.
Around.
Yeah, I just like to see what's there and find the craziest prices, and I love soaking up that knowledge too, and just getting to see what everybody has. That's my favorite part. What is your guys' favorite part? What makes you the happiest? What improves your mental health the most when it comes to toys?
Oh, for me, it's easy. In here with just, the lights over in the station on, taking photos, setting up, creating like a little story in my head so you see like the progression through the photos. Like it's a thing. If you watch the reviews, you'll see like throughout the photos, like there's a story playing out. And that's literally just the evolution from when I was a kid making stories of what these figures are doing in my head. That's me just doing it now, but with fancy lighting and photos. So it's kind of just that's the one thing that kind of gets me through everything. Like I come home, I go and turn off the lights, turn on all the photo station lights, and just kind of gather some diorama pieces and some figures and have some fun. Like it's probably like as much as I also enjoy going to toy shows. I think the biggest thing I do, but my problem is I go and I'm like, I want to find something cool that I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know I needed that or something like that. And then I get disappointed when I don't. And I think that kills it for me. Cause I do have fun. And every now and then, like when we went to that one in Columbus, I had a lot of fun and I found a couple things. So like it was a blast. Toy Hio just sucks. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying it. I don't.
I'll say it. I don't.
You said it as like one of us puts together, but yeah.
So that's the thing I enjoy most is getting to play with my figures essentially.
Yeah.
So my answer, I guess, is kind of twofold. It was before. Here goes my my deep-seated issue. So like growing up, my mom did like the best she could. I mean, the amazing things of like getting all the toys and all the stuff that I kind of really wanted. But I always felt like it was kind of like when she could, you know what I mean? Like afford it and kind of things like that. So now like I'm in a position in life where I can like get the things that I want when I want them. So part of that probably comes from like, that's probably where a little bit of the impatientness of like, if it's released and it's available, I fucking want it because I can buy it. You know what I mean? So like,
I don't have to wait for mom to get it anymore.
Right. So a lot of my purchases have like come from that because it's things that one, I am able to get it and I want to like have that feeling deep down, but also it's just like cool to just see like look across my room and see the things that I'm into and sort of like not telling a story with my toys, but telling a story of like who I am by what I have is probably what gives me a lot of joy. But then like, again, obviously it's a broken record, but my biggest thing that I take away from it now is like having, as he come downstairs to the turtle room and his eyes light up and look at all of the different cool things that I have. To me, that's really where it's at now, of like, how can I share this passion with him? So like, that's cool. But I mean, it's weird because I'm on a toy podcast and I don't know. I don't really like obviously follow toys. So like in the different group chats, I'm like, guys, when you see something new, just post it and tell me, because I don't, really follow it that closely. So I don't share that same like excitement outside of like some of the NECA stuff. But it's mostly just, I don't know, like being able to buy the stuff I want makes me happy, and
Well,
that's
People
something
say
that you take to a therapist.
money can't buy happiness.
That's a therapist question right there.
Right there, though, helps your mental health because you don't go on the boards and you don't go in the Facebook groups.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
you
true.
miss out on all the
comments and
I don't
toxicity.
have
argue with people
when you guys
and
talk about, can you believe this person said this? I'm like,
yeah,
oh, that sounds stupid.
yeah.
But I don't have to worry too much about it. But part of that is like, I my job, I work with the public. I've been podcasting for I don't know how many years now at this point. But I'm a very like, not shy, but I'm just and what's the word?
Introvert?
The opposite. Yeah, the thing that everyone says they are nowadays because it's cool. But like I honestly am just not that outgoing of a person. So like talking to people online and like forums and shit would not be like, I have a Reddit account for like 10 years and I have like 3 posts. Most of the time I type things
More
out
than I
and I
got.
delete it because I'm like, nah, I don't want to bother anybody. So like, I guess that's probably one good thing that I could get from this toy hobby, maybe getting out there a little bit more. But I think this podcast is about as much as I can handle.
Ouch. So that's
No,
you brought up
it's
an
not
interesting
bad.
point there. Because that's another thing. So as I mentioned before, anxiety, depression, all that. I have always had difficulties in social situations. Like a lot of social anxiety, always worried about what people think, this, that, and the other. And this podcast has kind of forced me out of that, and gotten me to a point where like I'm not as afraid to like approach people, because I've had to break out of that shell to kind of help create the community that we've started and meeting people, and we've met like a lot of great people through this situation. That and it's kind of like an unexpected side effect of it all is you decide you want to become a YouTuber and get famous and rich, which still hasn't happened yet, and instead it kind of slightly cures your social anxiety in the process.
I thought you were gonna say it cured your social anxiety, because when you walk up to someone now and they're like, "Oh, this could be an awkward interaction," but instead of your mind, you're like, "I have a fucking decently successful podcast. You can't.
I can't even say decently
embarrass
successful.
me."
I've got a moderately starting podcast. You can't phase me.
I have over 1,000 subscribers. It's that like meme
Over
where it's the
2,000,
person
sir.
in the party, in the background, and like no one knows that I have over 2,000 subscribers.
But no, because like
Go ahead.
that's one thing since the beginning I've wanted to make sure to do, is because a lot of, I mean, granted, a lot of the big toy YouTubers get significantly a lot more interactions than we do, but I've wanted to make sure to respond to as many, if not all, of the comments as possible. Sometimes I'll skip one or something if it's too toxic or too negative. Or sometimes if I haven't responded to you, there's a good chance that YouTube just didn't send me a notification. And Studio sometimes is weird where it won't show me all the comments. It'll register it as read even though I haven't read it. So if I didn't respond to you at some point, I do apologize, but I am in the comments almost every day replying to people. And I do that for multiple reasons. One, because I want to build the community. I want to, have people feel comfortable approaching us. I don't want it to be a situation where, we're the big stars and you're just the peasants who watch us kind of thing.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
But another thing is there's always this aspect where something so simple like that can make someone's day. Because think about it, you get someone who you look at as quote unquote famous, whether it's moderately or actually legitimately famous, likes something you tweeted or follows you back or interacts with you in some way, shape, or form, you that suddenly you're walking a little straighter because you're it made your day. You're excited about it. It's something that you're like, oh wow, that actually happened. So for me, I just wanted to make sure that I don't want anyone to ever feel left out. And if I can, just put a little bit of effort in and potentially make someone's day because they're excited that oh, the person who I watch on YouTube responded to me, then I'd want to go on my way to do that. And it's not a vain thing of thinking we're famous, because we certainly aren't with our 250 views per video. But regardless, even there's YouTubers and stuff like that who aren't in the millions, but they're still pretty popular, and when I get a response from them, I'm pretty excited. So
oh yeah,
pass it along.
I've gotten to meet some great YouTubers at shows. It's awesome. That's part of it. That's super fun too. The whole explosion of YouTube and this community and these quote unquote celebrities. They're celebrities to us in the sense if I saw Dan Larson somewhere, I'd be really excited,
right?
And if somebody I worked with would be like, who the hell is that guy?
Exactly.
But it means a lot to me.
Matter of importance to you, not so much
yeah. And that's what's cool. You guys might find this hard to believe, but I also have anxiety, depression issues. But I am comfortable being a little bit more out there and being in front of people and doing that. You guys may find that shocking.
I know it's not like you agreed to do a whole boudoir calendar or anything.
Yeah. But there's always, even with someone who is outgoing, there's always insecurities and issues and things like that. And it is nice. I don't really know where I'm going with this. We're just sharing.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a safe space. It's the mental health episode. It's not really a lot of direction. There's 1 or 2 points I want to hit left, but that's it.
Yeah. All right, hit a point because I'm bouncing.
Oh, okay then. I didn't mean to derail you. Sorry.
No, I derailed me.
So there is.
You railed yourself.
Oh my. So there's just 2 more things I wanted to touch on real quick. One is the content creation side of things for the hobby, because something recently happened that is very, very toxic, and it actually comes from the companies that are involved in the hobby, not so much the community. What? So there is a YouTuber, I can't remember his name, but he is a Magic the Gathering YouTuber. Magic the Gathering is owned by Wizards of the Coast, who is owned by Hasbro. He recently somehow ordered... Not the point. You'll just wait. It's a real fucked up story. He recently ordered a box of Magic cards, the case packs, and the distributor accidentally sent him the new set that doesn't come out to May. So I assume they probably don't have some sort of embargo on it since they don't send them out to content creators early or anything like that. But of course, he showed them off on his YouTube channel because he was excited. And Wizards of the Coast sent the fucking Pickertons to his door.
Who?
So the Pickertons are a very old family from they've been around since I want to say the 40s or something like that, who the government would use to go around the legal system to send them to intimidate people.
There's no way this is a real story.
Everyone's reporting on it. There's a bunch of.
I have heard of the Pinkertons from Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes, they're in that. Yes, they are real. Yeah. But no, this is thing. It has. There's still no confirmation of if this is all just a giant work, but dude, there's a the Wizards of the Coast apologized to him. But I'm just saying, that's something to, that's kind of, instead of going the logical route of, a copyright strike or cease and desist, to send a 1920s hitman family after you seems a little far-fetched.
You got them cards, eh?
Right? I personally would have just been close my door and be fuck off. But I'm just the fact that they came and they tried to pressure him into giving them the cards at the request of Wizards, and then Wizards like issued an apology to him and like offered to send him like product to make up the money he spent. Nate,
Yeah.
This sounds like a plot line from Yellowstone.
Trust me, when I heard about this, because I initially heard Philip DeFranco reported on it.
I just want to point out, I've never seen an episode of Yellowstone, so I'm just
a lot
assuming...
of magic gathering going on in Yellowstone.
So
a lot.
Okay. I don't know,
but no. So like the first place I heard it from was Philip DeFranco reported on it, and then a couple of people actually ironically sent me articles from different websites reporting on it. So I'm following it because I want to know if it's real, because it sounds like something Vince McMahon would have worked up. So that's why I'm very like, but like if it is real, that's like some next level toxic shit.
Here's the thing. This totally sounds like something Nintendo would do. So like
a publicity stunt?
No, like you order your game and somehow you get the new Zelda a week early, and you're talking about it, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're gonna sue you for all of your money."
They did do that though. There was that
stuff like that. Yeah.
That guy who did the modded multiplayer for Breath of the Wild. They are trying to completely nuke his channel with copyright strikes.
So I don't see it crazy that a vindictive company.
But like, there's other like legal, not fucked up ways to go about it. Is my point.
Fair. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like from a content creator side, like that's not something you should have to worry about. Like a fucking 1920s hit family showing up at your door being like, "Give me your stuff." So I just wanted to bring that up because that was just something topical recently that happened that I was just like, wow, I could not imagine if they did, I just shut my door and be like, try me. Like, what are you gonna do? Break in my house? I'm like, all right, then I guess we're gonna have some lawsuits on our hand. I'm gonna own me.
If they're 1920s hitmen, they're not gonna have any problem shooting your door down and coming to get you. This is where the story starts to fall apart for me.
I don't think they're still 1920s.
Well, they've obviously modernized, but that's the family has stayed in the business since then.
The Pinkertons.
Okay, so that's where Kevin Costner comes in.
Probably. But the other thing I did want to touch on as well was just some Patreon members shared some experiences.
Never seen Yellowstone.
So we had a few Patreon members who
I've been to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I've never been to Yellowstone.
Okay. Anyway, Patreon members, I put a post out with the topic so people could share their experiences if they wanted. One person brought up the whole using it like that, video games and other things, as a form of addiction rather than drugs and alcohol. But another person actually shared a story from their own personal experience, and they did at one point feel like they were developing a drinking problem, and they pivoted that into action figure collecting, and they refer to themselves as a Hasbro-holic because that's their new addiction. But rather than the negative effects of alcohol, he said that this has kind of helped calm his anxiety with collecting and getting to pose as action figures and stuff like that. And he kept mentioning like small escapes of big results, and then he mentioned how like collecting has inspired him because for a while he was painting and drawing and he kind of fell out from it and didn't have that creative outlet, and it has kind of given him a new way to express that creative outlet, and that it has kind of changed a lot of things of his anxiety and stuff because of it. And then he also mentioned like the negatives like we did before, with FOMO being a big problem, and also spending, because all the money we spend on stuff we could be saving and using towards more life related adult
retirement
things. Yeah, retirement. And stuff like that. So I did want to share some of that, because that is something I'm going to be doing more and more often, is trying to give our Patreons a heads up about like the topics. That way, if they want to have some input in it, we can kind of do that. But especially I wanted to start with this episode just because I feel like this topic was pretty,
for all of us.
Yeah, it was a community topic. Yeah, but that's going to be it for this week's episode. Sorry if this was a downer, not quite as lighthearted as we usually are.
I think
we didn't
I think we were being positive. I think we spent more time being positive.
Yeah.
How it is good for you. And I just want to throw out there, because with that note and with what we talked about, the things that we love about it, what gives us that reprieve, that mental health boost, is all different. And I think that's why this community and this hobby is so much fun, because we can all get something different out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome.
I agree. But let us know in the comments below, like, where do you stand with, your collecting habits with your mental health? If you feel comfortable telling us your story and stuff like that, leave it below. You can DM me separately on Instagram, Twitter, I guess TikTok maybe. I don't know if that works. At Modern Toy Fair. But yeah, please feel free, reach out, let us know. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Helps us out, lets us know we're doing a good job. Also gets you a bunch of toy-related content in your feed, such as the reviews, Let's Poses, weekly live stream, and the weekly podcast. You can also head over patreon.com/Modern Toy Fair to help to support us in this crazy journey, where we have several tiers of different rewards, ranging from anywhere from being able to get episodes of the podcast early. You can go through, we're going to soon have exclusive episodes for the Patreon members. We have an option for physical prints of the photos I take, and you can even be a guest on our weekly live stream. So check that out. Link will be in the description below. You can check Jarmar out over on metal.tv/Jarmar Games. Nate, what do you have for us this week?
Well, this week I got a new podcast. This is coming with conjunction of my good buddy Suck My Taint. We did a podcast a couple weeks ago called Fart, the podcast. And a lot of people thought it was a little superfluous, a little airy, just was very unpleasant. They were looking for something more substantive, something more solid. So we are moving on to a whole new season, and it is going to be called Poop, the podcast. So details will be coming forth, but it is going to be an intense situation.
Always is. But hopefully we'll see you next week. Same toy time, same Toy Fair channel. Thank you for watching.
Intense.